It'll be fun. It'll be an exciting readout. We won't be long today. A lot of work to do. We'll talk about Maine real quick. We were the better football team. We were the better football team against Houston Baptist last year, but not by much. And almost had, Houston Baptist had numerous opportunities to make that game different than it was. So we've made some improvement, but we were the better football team. And I thought our kids played really hard. They were physical. We can clean a lot of things up, though, and we have to before we play on Friday night. Now, I think most football teams make their most improvement between week 1 and week 2. And we had 9 penalties for 90 yards. The dead ball penalties where the ball is not even moving is absolutely devastating to a football team in close games. And so we had a false start. We had an illegal substitution, procedural error on offense. We had a unsportsmanlike conduct for celebrating on offense, where we had a bunch of guys run down to celebrate with the guys that scored. Those are kind of things that an immature team, in which we're young, and we can learn from the mistakes they make. We had a couple of penalties. The holding penalty on a long run, they could call holding on every single play if they want to. Some of those are going to happen. I live with some of those. If you get your hands inside, you have a better chance of them not calling it, but those are going to happen. The way we play ball around here, we're aggressive. We, on defense, fly to the ball with 6, 7, 8 guys trying to get a piece of the running back or the ball carrier. At times, there are going to be penalties where they think we're a little bit over the top. I can live with some of those. And as we get better at it, they'll be less and less. Now, we're not a dirty team. We're not cheap. We don't do things that are beyond the rules. And the more teams chirp, the more they get a reputation of being that way. Referees look for opportunities to penalize those teams. And so there were some good learning moments during that game when the referees would come over and say, "Coach, can you calm this guy down? Can we handle these things better?" And it was outstanding, because I thought the officials did a really good job for the most part of that night. And if the officials aren't the focus of the game, they've done their job. When they want to be the part of the deal, then it makes it really hard to have a fun game. And so it was a lot of teaching moments for our kids that we can fix in week 1 before the opportunity that we have this Friday. So I thought that was some positives out of that. We cannot turn the ball over. Miles, on his first one, I'm gonna say it was nerves. He predetermined where he was throwing that ball, and that wasn't the read. He had that a couple times later and made great reads on it, on the same play, same coverage. The second one, we were trying to score to make it 28-0 before we went into halftime, and it was a bad read of the progression, a bad throw, and those are correctable mistakes. The 3 fumbles that we had, and really if you look at it, there was a 4th fumble. Our expectation when our running back score is not to reach over and lose the football. It's supposed to be to hand the ball to the referee. And Sherrod White on the first touchdown reached over. They knocked it out. It was already in the end zone. That's not his job. His job is to hand the ball to the referee. And then the other 3 we were able to get back. So the ball security wasn't very good on Saturday night. So we need to fix that. If you watch Boise State on defense, they run around. Coach Avalos does a great job. Spencer Danielson does a great job. They'll be very aggressive. They'll be very physical. And if we carry the ball like we did on Saturday, we're going to cough it up and give it up to them. So we made a big emphasis on that this week. We took the ball away a couple times on defense. We had the ball on the ground a couple times. We got to come up with those. Boise traditionally on offense, you can go all the way back till the early 2000s when we played up there in 1999. They had a fake punt where they snap it to the personal protector. He holds it between his legs. Guys run by him, and then they go out the back door. The Fiesta Bowl in 2005 where the Statue of Liberty played, the flea flicker to get him back in the game. It's what they call the Boise way, and they've done that stuff for years. Boise has a bunch of great traditions. Started as a junior college and worked their way up to a very dominating Division I football program. And so, the coaches that have gone through there, they all believe in the same model. You see the blue collar that they talk about, and that's who they are. And our program is very similar. The things that we do, we don't use any of their mantras. What we do is the same thing. We love the opportunity to compete. The fact that we have the perennial number 1 pick on the mountain side of the divisions coming to our place on week 2 is awesome. Both teams it's going to be their first conference game. They had a very physical game against Oregon State where they played really, really well in the second half. Oregon State was able to make a couple of plays. They got down early, and they fought their way back. You can tell the confidence that they have as a football team. They were never in doubt that the game, it was 24-0, and they didn't change their motives, which that's who they are. And so our guys know what a great opportunity we have. We have a great football team coming in here, and I hope we have a full stands. The Albuquerque way is to buy tickets on Friday, Thursday, and Friday, and I'm okay with that. All I care is that you walk yourself inside that building, and let's have some fun. And I ask that the TV news stations help me out. Do me a favor. You guys do a great job during the sports broadcast. You really do. And you give us a lot of momentum, a lot of coverage. Convince your broadcast people to put the red out on the first 3 minutes of the news, because there's a ton of people that watch the first 3 minutes of the news, and by the time we get to the sports, they have someone else to do. So have your main anchors talk about the red out and how many people we want in Albuquerque to come to our game on Friday night. It's a great opportunity for our university. We're on a national stage. CBS Sports is going to be on national TV. We got an opportunity to fill the stadium. I thought the crowd, the 15,100 and some that were here on the Saturday, did a great job. I thought the students were awesome up in the corner with the band. I thought the North End Zone Howlers were great. Little Lobo Leap made a comeback at the end of the game, which you saw some of the stuff on some of the photos on social media and on the newspapers. That comes all the way back to traditions, okay? The University of New Mexico football program has had minimal success. We had a great run from 2000 to 2008. We had a great run from 1960 to 1964. The traditions that we try to establish, and it doesn't matter who the coach is. It doesn't matter if you've got something that works. At Notre Dame, play like a champion. That's been there, and thousands and thousands and thousands of football players have touched that sign, regardless of who the coach is. I don't have any problem with traditions started if it's another coach before me or before them or whatever. I mean, stuff that Bob Davie did. We had really good football teams at the University of New Mexico in 2016 and 2015. And if they had stuff that continued, that our kids, I've got no problem keeping those things, because we're trying to establish something that's bigger than just a coach. It's success and tradition for the entire football program, the entire university, the entire athletic department. This red helmet right here, we're going to wear red helmets on Saturday night. Might or might not look like this. It is going to be all red. Everything from head to toe is going to be red on our uniforms. It was a big deal back in the 60s when we won conference championships wearing a red helmet. It had a big NM on the side of it. We haven't worn a red helmet at the University of New Mexico since 1973, 49 years ago. I think red is, it's cherry and silver is our school colors. And I thought we looked really good with the cherry silver on Saturday night. Okay. We're not Notre Dame, where you have a gold helmet and that's what you wear. We're not Penn State, that has the white helmet and that's all they wear and they never change it. You've got the University of Oregon, who has 10,000 helmets because they don't have tradition, but they have a deal with Phil Knight and all those things. So they're setting themselves apart. Okay. Well, you know what? This stuff is really good in recruiting. Kids really have, especially with social media today, it's really good. Now, I'm a little bit superstitious, so you're going to see the coaches wearing the same things they wore on Saturday night against Maine. And until we lose, they're going to be in the same clothing. I hope Ashley washed it, but if she didn't, I'm okay with that too. Okay, but we're going to establish some traditions, and you establish traditions with winning. You establish traditions with surrounding yourself with people, and our administration, our entire athletic department, unbelievable. What Chase Christian did last night with the red field, we got more hits and more people talking about Lobo football than we have since I've been here over a picture. Somebody even investigated it so much that they saw the shadow from the old cottonwood tree that was there. That means people are involved. That means people are into what we're doing. And that's all I've asked since I came back, was just, I want people to care. Whether it's negative, positive, I don't care about that. If they are bugged and irritated with what we're doing, guess what? That means they care and they want us to be good. And so those are the kind of things that we're doing, and why are we having a red out? Why not call it a cherry out? Well, red is identified. We're cherry and silver. I want that thing to look nothing but a sea of red on Friday night. It'll help tremendously. I hope you have a football team that you saw on Saturday night, getting the 2 days, that played hard, that you can be proud of. Now there's going to be ups and downs along this road, because we're still building a football program. But that's the identity that we're going to have, a team that plays their tails off. When they have opportunities to make plays, they make plays. We got a bunch of good kids that are working hard. And the physical nature that they played on Saturday night, I hope they play it again this Friday night. I thought the practice the last couple of days have been pretty good. We started yesterday morning early since we have a short week. We'll practice again tomorrow, and then we'll play on Friday night. And I hope it's in front of a full stadium of nothing but red. What do we got?
Coach,
Put every team.
defensive execution. No wide open receivers, very few, if any, long runs. Is it real? Evaluate the defense.
I thought they played hard. I think in the third year they have a little bit better idea of what we're doing concept-wise. Now I thought we had a pretty good plan for what Maine was going to do, and the kids executed it. It was stuff we practiced. So we didn't have to go into our bag of tricks to try and come up with something because they were doing something we weren't prepared for. But being this far along in the system, it takes about 3 years to get comfortable with those kids understanding and being able to do things that we don't practice. I'm sure we'll have to have some of those on Friday night. Coach Avalos and myself are good friends. When we both recruited the Inland Empire in California, when he was at Boise as an assistant and I was at the other school I was at as an assistant, we spent a lot of time together. And so he'll have his team ready to play. Don't anybody get fooled by the fool's gold of what happened Saturday night, getting down 24-0. They fought their way back and had a chance. They were within a touchdown, had a chance to win the game, and Oregon State made a couple plays. So we've got to be prepared defensively to come for whatever they have. Go ahead, Steve.
Where'd you all get the money for the helmets?
Where'd we get the money for the helmets? This is great. I'm glad you asked that question. I see you frequent Amazon a lot too. You got tired of holding the thing with your camera, so you got to stand. Where'd you get the money to get that? Resource-wise, we had a bunch of white helmets around here. I'm not a big fan of white, and that's just me. And I talk about traditions, and I talk about those things. There was a period of 5 years that they wore white helmets. I don't like it. And so we got them painted. There's some new helmets that we had to purchase because you have so many helmets in your football program that they have to be certified every year. Some of them don't reach certification, so we have stuff that we can auction off and we can give away. We've got a first team group that we've done some stuff with where if they buy a helmet, if they donate and they buy a helmet, they'll get one of the old helmets. Eddie and David have done a phenomenal job since I've become the head coach at the University of New Mexico in finding multiple resources in order for us to better our football program. Safety is the number one issue, and these helmets right here, this one in particular is a model that's about 2 years old. We've got another one down there that they just came out with where they come in and they scan our kids' heads, and they put an exact mold inside of the helmet of the padding that is detailed to them. Now, that mold will come out, so once they're gone, we can use it for somebody else as long as the helmet keeps getting certification. But the number one thing that you have to do for your student athletes in every sport is make sure they're safe. And that resource comes with mental health, that resource comes in equipment, that resource comes, and the things that they put into our program give us the opportunity to do things that help us. Now, we want to be a big-time program because we're not a mid-major program. So when you're a big-time Division I program, you have to find resources to be able to spend money. And when we spend too much, they'll tell me. And if we win enough games, it won't matter because then we'll have more people in the stands, we'll have more resources available. So why want people to come to games? Because if we have that stadium full, I could buy a pink helmet if I wanted to buy a pink helmet. We never wore pink. But you can do it. You can do those things if you have those things. So that's why we want people invested. What else?
Coach, they seem to have a quarterback controversy right now. Does that change the way you prep for them?
If you watch them on offense, they didn't change the plays they ran. Taylor Green is a really, really good athlete. And so he got out of the pocket a little bit quicker than maybe Hank would have. The stuff that's coming out of there, I listened to Coach Avalos and Coach Plo and Coach Danielson and their media conference yesterday. Hank is a really good player from the Inland Empire, Marietta Valley, down there. Was a great high school quarterback, has been a great quarterback there for 3 years. And they talked about what a great camp he had. He had a bad night. Kids have bad nights. So I don't think they're going to change the dynamic of their program. Now, if Hank starts and he has any trouble, then they'll go right to Talon. He's 6'6". He's 220 pounds listed. He looks bigger than that. He runs like a gazelle. He can throw it. We have to know who's at quarterback for the athletic ability that Talon has, that he's a little bit faster than Hank. But Bachmeier's a really good quarterback. And so, we're an aggressive football team that's going to try and be aggressive. And if the kids have an idea of that there's somebody out there that can make a miss, they do have to adjust that way. But I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. We'll find out on Friday night, I think.
What else? How do you feel about just having a conference game this early in the season?
I got no problem with it. You watch Nebraska and Northwestern fly all the way to Dublin, Ireland to have a conference game week 0. I don't care who we play, when we play, whatever they put on the schedule, and however TV tells us we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And we're going to prepare for the game. Is it more important because it's a conference game? Absolutely. The number one goal in this program is to win our 5th conference championship. And so we had an opportunity to play last week against a football team that we played well against. We got a great opportunity to start conference with guys not really banged up. They should be sore and stuff, and we practiced hard today, so that's good. That means that they're not so sore that they can't go hard to get themselves prepared. And I think that's a process that we're still in the midst of evolving, so it's good.
And then Nate, coming back this week, what are you expecting to see from him?
Who?
Nate Jones.
I expect to see somebody that's really excited to play. Been a long time coming since December of 20, and he's done some really good things to give himself this opportunity. So I'm excited to see Nate carry the ball. He might be a little bit rusty. He hadn't been hit. We tackled a little bit in fall camp. He didn't get very many reps, so he's got to hang on to the football and ball security and all those things because they're going to come after him. So I'm excited to watch him play. He'll have a great opportunity. What else?
Danny,
Go ahead, Will.
you talked about this being a big opportunity for your team, not a big game, but a big opportunity. Just how big of an opportunity is it for you to win some fans over and maybe win some of the naysayers out there just kind of dismissed you and them automatically based on the past?
There's no moral victories. So if we go in there and play good and it's a close game and we lose, that does me no good. It doesn't. Walking into a locker room after you lose a game and say, hey, guys, you did a really good job. Sorry. For all the stuff that they do all year long and all the training that they do, you get 12 guaranteed opportunities, and when you lose one of them, they really hurt. And when you put in a whole lot of investment and you think you have enough talent, and you think you're good enough, and you lose, it should be like a knife in the gut. And so I hope we have a chance to come out there. I hope the kids play well, and if we win the game, then it's just one more opportunity for the naysayers to buy a ticket and come on out and say, oh, maybe they are good enough. I'm okay with that too. I don't care when they come. Just come. Just come be a part of this program. And if it takes us to beat Boise State for them to come, then so be it. If it takes us to beat UTEP for them to come, so be it. And so on down the road. I don't care when they show up. Eventually, I just want them to show up and show up consistently. And it's a great opportunity for our football program to compete against a great football team. A team that whooped our tail 37-0 last year, that blocked 2 punts in the first quarter, and it was 14-0 before we even knew what happened. And then we give up a 56-yard touchdown with 2 seconds left that you should never give up. It's a great opportunity to go out there and compete against that team that physically whooped our tail last year. So it's a great opportunity.
So you talked about the defense looking more comfortable, and even Rico brought that up in the post game. Where did you see that play itself out, where these guys are starting to maybe get a little bit more comfortable, maybe not thinking as much when they're out there?
That's the perfect statement, is they're not thinking as much. So they're able to run faster to the ball. They're able to do their assignments faster because they're not having to think about what I do. They're just doing it and reacting. And then when they react, if the ball's going that way, they just put the foot in the ground, plant, and go the other way. So you see 5, 6, 7 guys getting to the ball carrier, where last year it might have been 1, 2, 3, or 4, because there was a few of them that knew what they were doing. But now they're all at the point where we call a defense, I signal it in, they run it, and then they run to the ball, and then they get lined up and they do it again. And we don't make it easy on them because sometimes you can see them scrambling to get lined up. We try and give them the best opportunity we can. And we do that stuff in practice too. We don't give them the signal right away until the very last second. And when you're able to do that and hold it longer, the other team doesn't know what you're doing. Your guys can execute it. And if they're not having to think about it, it's like learning a foreign language. When you speak English and you try and learn Spanish and you translate every statement in your head before you actually speak it, you don't know the language. You've memorized it, But once you realize, once you can speak it without having to translate it, then you have a chance to be pretty good. And that's kind of where they're at right now. There's still some thinking, though. I mean, there's still some thinking, especially for the freshmen. But they have a lot better understanding of the concepts of the defense. And that's what gives us a chance to play good. Go ahead, Brandon.
When Boise got back into the game, what did you see was their biggest strength that got them back in?
They're really physical up front on both sides of the ball. D-line wise, 99's is, I mean, he's a big old joker. And he's aggressive. Their whole defensively, they're not similar to us in the way we line up and do things, but they do a lot of movement. They're very aggressive. They're very physical. He has them playing hard. And so they never wavered from what they do. They turned the ball over early. They had a wheel route early on to Helani, the running back, that if they complete that, it might be a completely different game. And they turned the ball over. They have a chance to make it. I think it was 17-0 at the time. They have a chance to make it 17-7. It might have been 10-0. They fumbled on the 4-yard line. Oregon State DB made a great play. And they stopped them from getting in the end zone. Got down 24-0 at halftime. They went in there and made some adjustments, and all of a sudden it's 24-17. So they believe in what they're doing. Oregon State made a couple more plays. And most football game plays come down to 5 or 6 plays. And the team that makes those plays is usually the team that wins.
Coach, talking about the targeting call and the whole appeal process, what did you learn from that whole thing?
The targeting call, the replay booth called down and thought there might be targeting. They thought the video that they showed, and it's all for player protection. I didn't agree with it. Thank God the rules committee in the NCAA and the AFCA, they do a great job getting together every year to establish rules that will help our game. Some of them I like, some of them I don't. I think they're making football really, really soft. You can't hardly hit people anymore. I mean, the blindside block, the guy who's coming on a punt return, you can't go clean his clock anymore. Crack block, you can't come inside and crack block. And there's some rules they changed this year, cutting. Guys on the perimeter cannot cut block anymore. Guys in the tackle box cannot go down to the second level and cut block anymore. It's all for player safety, and that's what the design is behind targeting. But the rules committee came together and determined, okay, if the replay officials miss something or there's better evidence or something, then the head of officials, Steve Shaw, for the entire NCAA, can evaluate it. And if he thinks that it's something that might be overturned, he can overturn it. And if he thinks it's good, then there's no higher court after that. There's no appeal process. And we sent it in. We were the first one to appeal a targeting with this new rule. So there was some going back and forth to make sure that everything was done right. The process went clean, and then Steve Shaw and the committee decided that Alec can play. If they would have decided that Alec couldn't play because it was targeting, I would have been disappointed for me, not in them. They're doing the best job they can to keep this game safe. I'm glad they made the decision that I thought was right, but if they wouldn't have, that would have been what it is, and Alec would have missed the first half. I'm really excited that Alec gets to play because he's a really good football player. And the appeal process worked, so hopefully they continue down that path. And I think you got to give credit to the rules committee. I mean, Coach Fitzgerald at Northwestern, Coach Shaw at Stanford. I mean, those guys are on that committee every year, and we talk about those things as head coaches, and they represent us, and I think they're doing a really good job. So, I mean, I'm glad it worked out in our favor, and I'd have the same comment if it would have went the other way.
Coach T, you talked about Miles' performance, but what about some of the other new skills players like Porter and Weiss? What are your thoughts?
I thought Jordan showed that he's got some wiggle. He's got some speed. Did a nice job catching the ball. I thought Austin Erickson might have been our best perimeter blocker on Saturday night. Did a great job. Now, he's been in our program for 3 years, but it's been a great opportunity. Andrew Erickson made a couple really nice plays this week in practice. I thought he missed some that we expect him to make last week. Tristan White, he's got some explosiveness to him. Jamar Sanders obviously has some explosiveness to him. That Jamar Sanders got welcomed to Division I football on Saturday night. Had a nice run over there on the north sideline. Jumped up to try and get a few extra yards. Now, he's been a quarterback his whole life, and those guys usually don't get hit because they slide and do all those things. And when you're not used to doing something, you do some things that you probably shouldn't do. And jumping as a ball carrier in Division I football is something you should never do. And when he landed on the ball, it about went up inside his lungs, and he couldn't breathe, and it was a great lesson. And when he came over, he was looking at me like he had a little bit of fear on his eyes because he couldn't breathe. And I'm not the most compassionate person, and so I told him, Jamar, that's what you get. welcome to Division I football, man. Now just hang on to the ball next time. Don't fumble it. Give it back to the referee, and we'll expect you to be out there again. He looked at me like, well, he's the same. He's consistent. He doesn't ever change. So, but he's got some explosiveness to him. Sherrod White is a very physical runner. I think you saw Christian Washington as the game went on. He felt a lot more comfortable, and he's very explosive. He made some people miss and got vertical and all those things. So I think we've got some guys on offense that can really give us a chance to be competitive and do some things that we haven't been able to do. But you got to give a lot of credit to the 5 guys that played up front, because since I've been here, that was the most physical that an offensive line has been. I thought they were really good on the perimeter, getting outside and getting to the second level. I thought the initial charge off the ball was really good. And it doesn't matter what those guys that I mentioned behind that statements do if those guys aren't any good. And so I was really proud of the attitude and the energy they came out with. Now, there's a bunch of technique and a bunch of things that we need to fix before Friday, but that's a start, and it'll give us a chance to be a competitive football team.
Coach, you talked about some of the newcomers to D1 football. Do you have to remind them what you saw Saturday and not what you're going to see on Friday?
The true freshmen, yes. And we had probably 5 or 6 true freshmen that played reps that'll continue to play for us. And most of those kids were the really, really good players in high school. Well, everybody's a really, really good player now. The ones that got beat up pretty bad last year, 37-0, they'll make sure they know. I'm not worried about that one bit. Not at all. What else? Go ahead, Steve.
Jaden Hovey seems happy to be a running back. How'd that happen? How did he become a running back?
We screwed up. We gave him the ball during fall camp. And now we got another guy in that room that thinks he needs 30 touches. Jaden is a very skilled athlete and does some things that we haven't been able to do. I mean, the H-back, fullback type stuff that you can lead through the hole, you can get out on the perimeter, and then he's big and he's athletic. And so when we need those short yardage stuff, we can give him the ball and he can get an extra yard if he can go through a run blocker. It gives us a different dynamic now. He's not going to be a full-time ball carrier, and that's not why he came here, and he knows that. But he's very important to our football team, and he displayed some of the things that we can do with him. Now we can put him back there and give him the zone read. We can put him back there and be the lead blocker, so it creates a dynamic that they have to prepare for, which is really good. Go ahead.
Was there ever a thought to pull Miles after his second interception?
Nope, not one bit. Miles is our quarterback. The first, like I said, the first one, it bothered me because we gave him the ball up, but we got the ball right back on defense. That was nerves for a guy who hadn't played football in a long time. He was a starter. He's got some expectations that I put on his shoulders. He wanted to be perfect, and so he predetermined what he was going to do. You can't do that. And I'm glad it happened to him in a game that wasn't close, because you can learn from those things. But Miles Kendrick is our quarterback, and he displayed why he's our quarterback in the other 55 snaps that he played. So not even a thought. I mean, I probably yelled at him, but not a thought about taking him out. What else? I'm completely disappointed that nobody asked, why did I go for it on 4th and 2 on the very first drive down here instead of kicking a field goal? I mean, come on. Are you guys, because we went 41-0, you forget about the first quarter? Because that's what we're going to do around here. I thought we had a good plan on defense. We're going to be able to stop them, and we're in the process of learning how to score. If it would have been against Boise State, I'd probably kick the field goal. I thought we were the better football team. And there's going to be times during the season that I'm going to make some calls that are probably dumb, but guess what? I'll live with whatever I call, because you got to believe, you got to be willing to bet on yourself, you got to be willing to bet on your team, and I will do that until I'm no longer the football coach here. And so that's why I did it. Go ahead.
You been practicing the pitching for tonight?
No, but I'll tell you what, it may not be over the plate, but I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. We'll be out at Isotopes Park. Our football team will be out there tonight. Heck, I might even go to the reliever and see if Miles can come in and throw it to the right guy. But we'll be there. Come on out to Isotopes, and then go to the Isotopes game on 5 o'clock on Friday night, and your ticket will get you in for another $5. You can come over here to our game. I mean, we got all kinds of, our marketing department, our administration is doing some really good things to work with people to entice them to come to the game. And so the thing I love about being back at the University of New Mexico, You listen to John and Heather. The appreciation that people have for each other around here is why we're going to be successful as an athletic department. Having the softball team at the football game, having the football team at softball games and soccer games, our student athletes really like being around each other. And that's really, really cool for an athletic department. We got the new Champion Center getting ready to open. Those kids are going to be together even more. It's all because of the culture that our administration is laying around here. And then you've got a bunch of people that have bought into being at New Mexico. It's a great place to be. It is a great place to be. And when we win a conference championship and we win a basketball conference championship and we continue to go to the NCAA's tournaments in soccer, I was out on a run yesterday. Heck, we won 15 straight conference championships in cross country until 21. I mean, those are the kind of things that we celebrate together around here. And that's why this place is special. And it can be more special if people would come on out. I'm telling you, we talk about wanting to be good and talk about wanting to be great. All we need is a few more resources from the people that are here, because there's enough. There is enough. All right. Thank you, guys. Go Lobos. We'll see you on Friday.